I did that too.
All right, do you guys see my screen? Do you see the listing presentation system?
Yes.
All right, so that's what we're going to begin talking about today, the listing presentation system. And why we're talking about this, once again, because of the way the market is right now, that listings are kind of scarce, we want to make sure that we are in there and we are knocking out our listings appointments every single time. And there's a lot of things that you can do in advance of the actual appointment, which will set you up to pretty much walk into the appointment with the agreement already signed, them already excited, and it saves you time and saves them time as well. Let's talk about a couple of things we're going to talk about. Did it change the mindset and pre-qualify on your thing? Did yours change?
No.
Hold on a minute.
I don't think it was presenting. I think you just had the slideshow up. I don't think it was in present mode.
You are absolutely correct. Let me attempt this one more time. All right,
TV.
You see mindset and pre-qualify?
Yes.
Perfect.
Is it back to listing presentation?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so exactly where we need to be. So what we're going to be talking about right now then is we're going to talk about the pieces of it that make the most impact. And the first piece is always your mindset. No matter what happens, you've got to have the right mindset going in. And how do we make that happen? Well, first of all, we do that by saying the right things. We can change and affect our mindset and our environment by what we say to ourselves and what we write to ourselves. So here's what we're going to do right now. I want everybody to think of a positive affirmation they can say about their listing skills. And that, whatever that is, who's got one for them? You can be like, I'm a lean, mean listing machine. I list 500 houses a year. Who else has got one? You can unmute real quick. Anybody? Bueller.
They're ready to list with me.
They're ready to list with me. I love that. Now, so that affirmation that you just said, you should be writing in your journal every single day. You should be saying it every single day. And the reason why we had you start the chat box is because now what I'd like you to do, that's right, you're going to be writing something in the chat box. I'd like you to write that listing affirmation that you are going to be writing in your journal. You're going to be saying to yourself every day. I would like everybody to write one in the chat box. Now, here's the thing. If you're fairly new and you don't have one, just wait till you see somebody write a good one and then just copy theirs. So take a minute, write in the chat box. This is an interactive, presentation. It's not me talking and you just listening. We want to actually get you active. Once again, changing your mindset by actually thinking, how do I view myself as a listing agent? What am I going to be saying to myself every single day? What am I going to be writing in my journal every single day? All right, give you like 30 more seconds to finish jotting down things in the chat box. What is going to be your listing presentor affirmation? This is how we change that mindset. We have much more confidence going out to those listing presentations. The other thing we can do to change our mindset, of course, because 90% of your business is affected by your, what everybody starts with, ends in set.
Mindset.
Exactly. So as we role play, what happens? We start to gain the confidence to know what to say, when to say it, to know how to handle objections, and also to know how to set it up so maybe we run our objections off at the pass so we don't even have the objections that we need. And if you know you're going to not get as many objections or you know how to handle the objections, you'll have much more confidence when you're walking up to do that listing presentation. Also, as you role play more and more and you gain more confidence, what will happen is you will start to get a higher percentage of your listings, which means your conversion rates will go up. You will then feel better about yourself. You will gain more confidence, which once again affects your mindset. Now, let's get into the pre-qualifying script. And this is going to take, the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. This is the meat of what we're talking about right now. This is the heart of how you can set this entire thing up. And now, because the market is kind of hot in terms of listings, people say, well, I don't really need to do that right now. Well, you always want to have the best skills, because as your skills get better, you start to separate yourself from your competition. So people who are saying, well, I'm not sure who to list with, when you really nail this and you internalize this pre-qualification script and this conversation, it's going to start to separate you from all your competition. Let's look real quickly at how this works. What is the purpose of the pre-qualification conversation? As you can see on here, the number one purpose is motivation. You want to find out your client's motivation. Everybody has heard that before. Everybody knows that, except we're going to talk about motivation. We're going to break it down a little teeny bit. Think about, the first of the year. What does everybody do the first of the year? They make a New Year's what? Anybody?
Resolution.
Exactly. They make a New Year's resolution. What is that resolution that most people make?
Lose weight.
Get in shape. Exactly. Get in shape. Everybody wants to get in shape. And that's a great resolution. Now, here is the key question. How long do most people continually do the things to accomplish their resolution? How long do they keep their resolution, on track?
Less than 30 days.
Exactly. Here's a great statistic. Research has shown that between January 12th and January 17th, most people have quit on their resolution. By the end of the month, 75% of the people are out, and generally only 8% of the people accomplish it. Now, we're talking about this for a reason, because when you're dealing with people, it's always critical to understand their motivation. Now, why did they decide that they wanted to get in better shape?
Health reasons.
Health reasons, exactly. Now, think about that. Did the reason change when they stopped doing the activities?
No.
No, except still, for some reason, they stopped doing the activities. And that's because motivation is actually two parts, and most people only think of it as one part. The two parts are motivation is number one, the reason. Everybody's generally good at getting the reason. The second part, which is the critical portion, is getting the degree, the willingness for that person to decide that's what they want to do. So in the pre-qualification questions, you're going to find out the reason and the degree that they want to sell their house, which goes to be, it allows you to make a decision whether or not you want to even take the appointment or take the listing, because if their motivation to sell the degree is really, really low, you might say, you know what? The conversation and the time it's going to take me to sell that and all the bantering back and forth for me to tempt them to convince to reduce their price, that might not be worth it to me. I can go find somebody who's willing to make it happen much, much faster and make it much, much easier. Because ladies and gentlemen, this is your business. You get just as much say in who you work with as they get in who works with you. Never forget that. This is your business. So you get to choose who you want to work with too. Now, we're going to go through a kind of a dialogue, a conversation of the pre-qualification script. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I want you to see me. I'll share it again in a moment. Can everybody see me? Say yes.
Yes.
Right. The reason why I'm doing it, and I wanted to stop sharing my script, is because when we actually do the pre-qualification, I want you to look. I'm going to be reading off papers, reading off a script. So you can have this script. There's one in Ignite on Win with Sellers, page 14. There's scripts all over the place of what to say during the pre-qualification conversation. And by using a script, which I'm reading, okay, you can ask the key question that you need to ask and find out their motivation so that you can have a much faster and easier listing process. So now are you guys are out and about now, right? Okay, so in the out and about world and even in the digital world, when you set the appointment, you're then gonna ask something like this and say something like this. So I can be more fully prepared for our meeting. Do you have a few minutes to answer some questions right now? And what are most people gonna say?
Yes.
Yes, and if they can't, you can say, what can I call you back? It's only gonna take a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, so I'm more fully prepared for our meeting. Either way. Now, as soon as they say that, the first thing you're gonna say is, once again, reading straight off the script. So great, I'm glad you have some time to answer these questions right now. If what I make sense, and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your house, are you prepared to list your house at our meeting? Some people say yes. What will some people say?
I don't know.
I don't know exactly. What else?
No.
No, exactly. They might say yes. They might say, I don't know. They might say no. However, this question is critical. If they say no or I don't know or something like that, you want to dig deep. You want to find out some more information. Okay, well, great. Thank you so much for telling me that. By the way, if you don't know, what do you need to hear in order for you to make that decision to list your house? And you just keep, whatever they say, you keep digging deeper. What you're doing right now is you're finding out their motivation to sell. And you want to know that before you continue on, because you want to find out what you're going to need to do. Why this question is so critical is because you'll be able to handle their objections right now, or say you don't have the confidence, you'll now know what objections you need to be prepared for when you walk into the meeting or when you Zoom into the meeting. Because they'll tell you, well, the reason I'm not sure if I'm a list you is because I'm not sure what kind of price you're going to tell me, or I'm not sure what kind of marketing you're going to do, or for whatever the reasons they're going to say, you jot those down and you say, great, we will cover those when I get there. And now you know exactly where to go when you're making your presentation. So when you sit down, you're not wondering, well, what do I need to say to get them to list, because they just told you. And generally, this conversation, because it's on the phone and you're not standing there in front of them with the paper, they're generally a little more easy. They feel a little more free to tell you the answers. Now, we talked earlier about whether or not you choose if I want to work with them or if they want to work with me. If we're having this conversation and I'm getting a whole lot of pushback, I might decide, you know what? If I'm getting pushback on a question like this, maybe this isn't a listing I really want to take. So throughout this process, you're going to have some key, I call them selling signals or signing signals that'll tell me if this is something that can work or not work. Now, just because I feel that, I might still continue on to dig a little bit deeper to find out more answers to see where it's actually going. So they tell me kind of what they're looking for. Then, of course, the logical question is, so great, when you sell your house, where are you moving? They're going to tell you, what's taking you there? Because where they're moving isn't the reason. What's taking them there is the reason. How soon do you need to be there? What's so important about that date? I love this question. If I sell your house in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? What have you done now? You've let them know that your goal is to sell their house quickly. Not to be on the market for 6 months, quickly. And then you want to get a little bit deeper. If they have a family, well, how would your family feel about that? Now, we talked earlier about motivation. We've got the reason. Now we're going to dig into finding out that degree, finding out that willingness. So the next question would be something like, okay, great. Well, let me ask you this. What would happen if your house didn't sell? We want to really define the degree now, so we're not going to leave it there. Whatever they say, we're going to say, okay, just so I understand better, because I want us to be a partnership. I want to make sure I'm willing to help you the way you need to be helped. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you don't care at all if your house doesn't sell, 10 being you're going to rip your hair out if it doesn't, where are you on that scale of 1 to 10 in your house selling if it doesn't sell? Now you're digging into that degree. And even then, you can't leave it there. You've got to say, if they say, well, a 7. Okay, tell me what a 7 means to you. Because you got to understand what the 7 means to them, because your 7 and their 7 might be different. And you're always coming from curiosity. And you're always letting know, the reason I'm asking all these questions is because I understand this might be the biggest financial transaction in your life, and I want to make sure we get it right. You want to make sure you're always letting them know that you're asking these questions not to be nosy. You want to partner with them. I've got to understand what you're seeing. I got to understand what you're feeling. if I understand what you're seeing and what you're feeling, then I can help you get what you want out of this sale. So let's continue on. Got a couple more questions that are critical for you guys. The next one, now this is something that's been kind of added, and it's something that should definitely be asked, because this is really going to help you with, when you're doing your comps and your comparables. After you find that out, have you looked online to check out the prices of other similar homes for sale in your area? With the internet, everybody's already looked online. So most time they're going to say yes. Here's where you start to find out the pricing before you even go there, without even asking them officially about what they want to price their house at. Were you surprised by what you saw, or were the list prices what you expected? Well, I looked on Zillow and I saw the price of this house, da, 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 da. So now I'm finding out where they're thinking their price point is. Here's where you just lock it in and knock it out the park. You say, well, did any particular houses stand out that you saw? Because when they're looking on Zillow or Realtor.com, wherever they're looking for their information, the houses that are going to stand out to them are the houses that they know in their neighborhood. And when you do your comps, you want to include those houses. Now, you might include those houses by default by just picking the houses. However, if they tell you the houses they want to know about, now you put those in your comps, so that now what's happening is you're showing the houses that they're most interested in, that they believe compare to their house. And you're not guessing. You're locking it right in, speaking right to them at the houses they want. Okay? Last thing, you're going to then ask them, do you have any questions? And then the final closing question is, are all the decision makers going to be present at our meeting? All right, so I'm going to open up for questions real quick. Based on what you heard on the pre-qualification question, how can that impact you and your listings and taking listings?
You're so shy, Dennis. You would never know these people talk to people all day long. I love some things that you said. I hope they wrote it down. So who has a question for Dennis?
I think that it was really great that you focused on asking questions. I think a lot of times agents' proclivity is to go right into the listing presentation on the phone, and it's really just about asking a lot of questions so that you're able to, once you get on the
I have a question.
have a good understanding.
Yeah, exactly, Rita. And the great thing about that is, when you do this correctly, you literally might be walking to the listing presentation and not having to do the presentation. You're just having them sign paperwork. That's the goal. To walk to the presentation and just say, you ready to sign? Yep, ready to sign. Here's the answer, this, let's sign, let's go.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I went on a listing presentation the other day, and the lady has been in this house for 50 years. It was just her granddaughter was there. And it sounds like they're trying to get her to sell this 50-year-old residence that she's been in forever, and move to another state to be closer to the home. So she's very emotionally attached. She's very kind of undecided, because it's almost like she doesn't want to go, but the other part of her is her family telling her it's the practical thing to do and come this way. So what do you do when you're trying to get them over the hump to want to list?
Okay, well, once again, during the pre-qualification, when I asked about, where do they want to move, why is it important, all that stuff, I would have uncovered this, and then we would have had a conversation. So for example, how important is it for you, Betty, to be where your family is?
Very important. Important to see them.
So yeah. I just want to understand, like a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not really important, 10 being super important. What would it be?
So 10, super important. Okay. I'm near the end of my years and want to spend as much time as I can with my family and grandchildren.
I love that. And I know your grandchildren probably can't wait for you to be around there. So how do we make that happen?
I'm just not sure. Like, I feel like, that my house is worth a lot of money, is worth a lot.
So
To
if
me,
we
it's
can
worth
get,
a lot.
so if we can get you a lot, and we'll talk about that in a moment, how would you feel about moving to near your grandkids?
Very important, but I don't know nothing about that area. I don't know where, like, what kind of houses there are. Am I gonna like the house where they are that I'm gonna be purchasing over there? It just sounds like very difficult for me to
Yeah.
make the transition.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, let me ask this. How do you think your grandkids will feel if they're not able to, be next to their grandmother as much as they'd like?
They'd probably be sad.
Yeah, yeah. How would you feel about your grandkids being sad because you're not near them?
Yeah, I understand that. I'd be sad too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do we need to do to make that happen?
Find me a house closer to them, get
Okay,
where they are.
okay. Great. So when I come there, we'll talk about the pricing that you want to get a lot and how soon we can get you there. Actually, how soon do you want to be there?
Well, it's so overwhelming. I look around and I have 50 years of stuff here and I'm here alone.
Yeah.
My family's in another state. So I just don't see how does it all work? Like, how do I get there? How do I get rid of pack all this stuff? What if a buyer does come within a week? I'm not ready. I need time. I can't feel the pressure of a buyer. You bringing me a buyer in 3 days, and here I have to figure out how to get rid of 50 years of stuff.
And let me ask you this. If I can make it easy for you so you're not feeling that pressure, and we can once again, it's your house, so we can set up exactly how you want it in terms of the price, in terms of when you move. We can coordinate all that moving stuff. All of that can be simple. How soon would you like to be near your grandkids?
As soon as we can do it, as soon as possible.
Okay, so now, like I said, that would all be set up before. If we get there, then it would just be the close. Okay, we can take care of all of that. And once again, you're going to get to make the decisions on when you want to move and the price and all that. So no one can force you to do that. You'll get the price you want. You can move when you want. Let's sign the contract so you can get towards your grandparent, get towards your grandkids. Is that okay?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So once again, it's just about asking questions. And there was a pleasure versus pain thing in there. Did you hear that? I mentioned the grandkids. How are they going to feel about it? How are you going to feel disappointing them? All right. So that's kind of where we're going with this. Let me go on to the bold part, and then I'm gonna let you guys get to your meeting because I know you guys have a lot of things to talk about here at your meeting. Let's get down to here. Now, here's Bold Pivot. The results are in. Here are the kind of numbers that you're getting from Bold Pivot from the last time. 133% campaigns created. Look at that, 14% listings. That was in the month of May. Because they've added June, it's now over 24%. So you're going to continually see those numbers rise. And it's only $99. Real quickly, it starts August 14th. The Coach's Corner has already begun. And each market center can have a market center special, which they pay $1,000. Are you guys seeing my screen?
No.
Hold on a minute. Okay. You see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so it starts August 4th. And as you see, Coach's Corner has already begun. And market centers have a special where they can pay $1,000 and get 15 registrations. So that's something you can do. Yes, Anna.
So can you talk a little bit about the Coach's Corner? Because some agents may not have taken advantage of it last time. And some people may not have even been in Bold Pivot. So I would just like you to share, because this is such a value add, I think.
Yes, you're exactly correct. The Coach's Corner right now is on Wednesdays. When Bold Pivot starts, it's on Wednesdays and Fridays. It's 1 to 3. You have 2 hours of time to ask coaches any questions, role plays. They've continually added that and increased all of that. So you actually, it's like having a one-on-one interaction with 2 to 3 Bold coaches for that 2 to 3 hours. And if you put questions in the chat box, a lot of times what will happen is if we're not able to get to them then, they'll ask them on the next round too. And you continue to put them in the Facebook page so we can get to those questions.
Yeah, it's great. Did anyone take advantage of the Coach's Corner last time?
Well, I will tell you that that was where most people really got a lot of the big benefit, because once again, they were able to ask questions like the role play that me and Betty just did. You could put that in the chat and you'd all of a sudden see the role play happen right there in front of you.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So
Now,
do we know who the coaches are for this round?
that will be announced pretty soon.
Okay.
They're kind of finalizing all of that. However, yeah, it'll be put out there pretty soon. The one thing I'm going to say about what we just talked about is when you're doing this and you're setting it up correctly, like I said, you won't have nearly as many objections at the listing, and you'll be able to basically have it go much more smoothly. You're going to get to see all of this in Bold Pivot. So please get the opportunity to sign up. Like I said, if your market center wants to do a package, they can do the $1,000 and have 15 registrations they can use for guests, agents, recruits, whatever. If this is going to springboard your business for the rest of the year, this is the time that really springboard your business to have that incredible fourth quarter, this August Bowl.
And can you repeat some of the numbers, Dennis, again, what results we were seeing from this last one?
Sure, I can even put them up there for you. Let's see. The numbers would be, it is 24% increase in listings taken, campaigns 133%. The critical thing about the campaigns is that with the campaigns, that's business that's going to be happening in the future.
Say that again?
The 133% increase in campaigns,
Yeah.
that's going to be the business that you're setting up now that's going to be coming in the future.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting when you think about setting yourself up for a really solid third and fourth quarter, which we know is what is going to continue that momentum into the new year. And can you just maybe, do you have a few more minutes, Dennis?
I can give you 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay, so something that you could share with an agent who might be struggling to prospect right now, finding people who are willing to sit and talk to you about listing their home.
Well, it's all about making those care calls. If you're calling your database and you're asking the right questions, and the first question is, how are you? How are you doing? How's your family? How's the job situation? People say, we've been hearing this now for 3 months, 4 months. Yes, exactly. Because those people, as their life situations are changing, you know, they might be considering listing. When you ask them how they're doing, what generally happens? They do what?
Ask you how you're doing.
Ask you how you're doing. So,
and you're in the business.
Exactly. Anna, you're genius. Go ahead.
I just listened.
Exactly. That opens up the opportunity for you then to tell them a little bit about what's going on. So you can tell them, hey, look, the market is hot right now. I mean, listings are getting multiple offers. They're selling for over list price. You know, those little things where if somebody was kind of thinking about it, or maybe they realize they've lost their job and they're not gonna be able to make their payments, you've now told them a way they can get out of it. So it's all about making those calls.
Yeah.
Now, if you know people who, for example, have investors or something like that, that's another vehicle, another avenue. And just ask your people. I mean, you have a database. If you're asking your database will provide everything you need out of it.
That's it. I think that it's simple. If you talk to more people, the opportunities show up. And when you asked someone the question, how are you, 4 months ago, the answer today could be very different.
Yep.
So, Dennis, thank you so much. I know so many people were a part of the Bold experience that you taught here in the Hudson Valley last year, was it? And you're awesome, and I really appreciate you. And thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this.
Hey, my pleasure. You guys have a great, look forward to seeing you guys all in Bold Pivot.
Thank you. All right, Dennis, take care. So
Bye-bye.
I just want to hear, so Robin White, you had put something in the chat, you loved Bold Pivot. Do you mind sharing what you loved about this format? Because I know you've taken Bold before too.
Okay. One of the things I loved was the multiple coaches, that you got views from different coaches from all over. I love the format of being able to ask questions in the chat and get them answered. And the Coaches Corner was really informative. Just to hear what was happening around the country, just to hear answers to questions that maybe I had, but you know, just didn't think about it. So it was great to just be with so many people and hear what's happening around the country. And it really, really changed my business. I've taken 3 listings, I've sold them. I'm hot right now. So yeah, Bold Pivot was really working for me.
That's awesome. Anyone else have an experience they'd like to share?
Sue Trugman, I unmuted you.
Thank you. Yes, I had put in the box as well that I took Bold Pivot, and I was probably in a very different place maybe than mostly everyone, because I had lost my dad in March. So I sort of went down the rabbit hole and mentally. And it's hard to know when you're in the middle of a pandemic that you're in the rabbit hole, because you're just trying to sort of get your bearings. So that's where I really was. And what, you know, the fact that I didn't have to leave my house to travel 50 minutes to get there, but I could just turn on the computer. It was okay. Even if I was, you know, dressed in my workout clothes, I could really enjoy and participate and watch these amazing people. The energy was high. The information was really great. They spent a lot of time on mindset, which is what I needed. And honestly, it was a reset for me. It was wonderful. I recommend it highly.
That's awesome. I know, Matt, I don't know if Matt Gibbs is still on the phone, on the Zoom, excuse me. I know he talked about the format being very to the point. Matt, are you still with us? Okay. Well, I want to encourage all of you to think about taking Bold Pivot. We certainly are not here to put anything on you. We're here to encourage you, and we're here to, you know, move you in the right direction. And I think that anytime that you can take Bold, it's going to reinforce, it's going to open you up to new opportunities and new ideas, because you're never in the same place twice, right? As Susan just said. And I think that mindset is, I know mindset is everything. So if you have questions about it, please talk to someone on the leadership team. We would love to support you and provide you with any answers that you're looking for. I think that right now, the way we spend our time has never been more important. And where you focus your energy is going to determine how you continue to navigate not just your business, but things that are changing and coming up for you in the future. And as you heard from a lot of the people that shared, being in a group of people, like-minded people, is always going to keep you focused on where you need to be. So I think this is, again, really great timing. So I know we have just a couple more things we want to go over with you before we end our meeting for today. Yes, Ro?
Can I just chime in for a second about,
Sure.
I put in the chat, if anybody would like to commit to it, and we need to have the commitments very soon now, we can do what Dennis was talking about, which is those 15 tickets for $1,000, and that would take your cost down to $67 for the Bold. So if you want to do that, please let your MCA know. If you're in Hudson Valley, let Ray know. If you are in Middletown, Hudson Valley United, let Erin know. And if you're in Hudson Valley North, let Maureen know, so that we can see how many of those we can get. And also, if you bring an agent doing 2 million or more, we will pay for both you and the agent, and they have to be registered. So, bring someone else. If you thought it was great, bring them in, and we will be paying for both of you. We feel there's that much value in it that we want to give the opportunity to others.
That's great. All right, so I know that we have a few things going on. I appreciate all of you being here at the team meeting too. As you can see, the Zoom platform is continuing. And I know that the offices are open, and it's still continuing to be somewhat of a challenge, I think, to feel connected and to support each other. So thank you for being here on this platform. Your participation is really appreciated too. So thank you for those of you who shared. So I know that something that we're working on that is really important, and I think another great example of the culture of Keller Williams and our three companies is the Equality Task Force. So I just wanted to give Robin White, who of course I call on without any notice, and she's always such a class act. She's always ready to just jump in there. Love you, my friend. Can you share anything about what the task force is working on? I know we have 3 separate committees, and there may be someone here who's not involved but might like to get involved.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Yes, the task force is working on, we're formulating where we want to focus. Our focus of our committees right now is on education, legislation, also fundraising. The fundraising committee has decided, because there are 3 Cornell extensions in Ulster, Orange, and Rockland, that will be one of the areas that we're reaching out to. Legislation, we're looking for, Brenda's leading and looking into a voters registration drive, which is of course extremely important when you talk about diversity. I also want to bring forth, I sit on the regional committee, and I want to thank you guys for voting me in, because basically I'm the only one from this area, and we are doing a phenomenal job. But one of the things that is being pushed is education, okay, wealth building for minorities, and how we can help our minority, our Black, and in particular our Black agents, how to get into the team leader level and to the management level. So, but one of the calls is we need diversity. And when we say diversity, it's great to see a lot of brown and Black skinned people, but we also need our fellow allies, okay? Whatever you like to call yourself. So if you're interested, we're looking for more people to volunteer. Okay, it's a great opportunity. Keller Williams is going to lead this industry in changing the way real estate has done. And there's a lot of things I'll be posting for you to get education on how historically Black Americans have been discriminated against in real estate, and we have been a big part of that. Okay, that's all I have, Anna.
Okay, thank you so much, Robin. So the 3 committees again are education, education, fundraising, and legislation, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So the 3 chairs, Rosemary, help me out with this. We have Erin is education.
Yep. Erin is education, Karen Saccone is fundraising, and Brenda Towns is legislation.
So if you are interested in participating, please reach out to Robin. She can direct you to the right person, or you can reach out to anyone on the leadership team, and we'd be happy to get you connected to that committee. And we would love to see more of you be a part of that as well.
And Anna, if I can mention, at our next team meeting on the 28th, we're going to have a panel regarding this. And Robin and I and the committee are putting that together right now. So our next team meeting is going to be focused around this equality issue.
Okay, so we have some developments that maybe we failed to mention to you. We actually have a guest speaker for the next team meeting.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I apologize to you. So I love the idea of your panel. Maybe we can do that immediately
Another
after.
time. Or yeah, any other time.
Yeah, so I would still get that on the calendar. Rosemary, you want to share what you've secured this great speaker?
Yeah, so we had Dave Jenks on before, and I think we got some really terrific feedback from Dave. And so, you know, Dave is very plugged in to what's going on in the market. And he contacted me and he said, you know, I know that throughout the country right now, one of the challenges that our agents are experiencing is getting listings. And so what I would offer to you is, if you would like, I will bring a special presentation on how to get listings, overcoming today's objections, really focused on the current market. And so we got Matt Reed is sponsoring Dave to come into the team meeting on the 28th. And he is going to be talking about that. I think you probably this week, I think Corinne will get an email specifically about the class, but that's what it's going to be focused on, is helping you to get listings. And I think that everybody needs that right now.
And in case you didn't know, Dave Jenks is one of the contributors to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and some other books that Gary has written. And so he's a wealth of knowledge. And he's a ball of energy. So he's amazing. So thanks for getting that set up for us, Rosemary. It's going to be really good. So please share that with people from the Market Center so we can see a good turnout for him, and more importantly, to help our agents to continue to survive, but really thrive in this business, right? We've talked about that before. It's not just surviving, it's thriving. So
we're thriving now. We're thriving.
We are thriving. I corrected myself. Did you see that? We're
out of
thriving.
Survival mode. We're into thriving. We're into reinvention. You're going to see more talk about that. We talked about it on the Top 20 Mastermind yesterday in Hudson Valley. We're going to be talking about it with the ALCs this week. I'm spending a lot of my time on it. I have another mastermind next week with Gary on it. He's talking to all of us. You're going to see changes within the company. You need to be looking at your businesses and saying, how am I going to reinvent myself? I actually shared an article today in the OP Updates from the Kinsey reports about overall how businesses have to really thrive coming out of this. And it really is about, you know, how do we become fully customer driven? What is our playbook for that going forward? And how are we accelerating our tech and analytics? And, you know, we're fortunate to be with a company like Keller Williams that is really putting us out front there. And, you know, it was sort of a surprise, I think, on our Top 20 Mastermind yesterday, you know, when I said that, you know, Gary has said, whatever we think our competition is and has been, we are going to have new threats to our existence going forward that we don't even realize what they are. And that comes in the form of the disruptors. We saw already technology disruption through Zillow and how that has affected our business. You know, there are other companies out there right now developing AI and looking to get in between you and your sphere, your clients. And we need to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we develop those relationships and deepen those relationships and get to the customers quicker and be able to provide them with the information that they need. So, you know, Keller Williams is working a lot on that, but you need to all think about your businesses as well. And what I'm thinking about what we need to do overall as a market center to support you. Because, you know, when we say customer centric, you, the agents, are the customers of the market center. So we're here to support you and you to support your clients.
It's exciting stuff, really.
It is.
Yeah, because you know what? Without change, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're dying. So it's really, it's just really the natural evolution of where we're going and what's next. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that conversation with all of you too. Is there anything that we didn't mention before we sign off for the meeting today? Erin.
We wanted to talk about the Haves and Wants Facebook group
Oh,
that
yeah.
we have.
Yeah, would you mind,
Mhm.
I can't share my screen. Do you have?
I can. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so we created this Facebook page for all of you, and I just want to remind you about it. You did get an invitation. I know sometimes a lot of alerts and things come into Facebook and you might not know it. But we do have this Haves and Wants Facebook group, and this is really where you want to go to share new listings. This is where you want to go to share any buyer needs and searches that you've been on, so that you can all collaborate and hopefully refer business to each other. I saw some great listings shared on the OP updates page, and it's really, this is where you want it to be, right? So I just want to remind everyone about this group. Make sure that you join the group. You've been invited. And again, you know, this is where you want to talk about business and hopefully encourage, you know, the opportunity to work together and collaborate. Anything else that we need to go over before we sign off today? Oh, Mega Camp, yeah. So I know so many of you attend Mega Camp every year. We are still having Mega Camp. It's September 15th through the 17th. However, it will be a completely digital experience. And they are promising an event like no other. So please mark your calendars. And registration is opening tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to this because, you know, this is going to give you an opportunity, like we heard someone say about Bowls, to just plug in and not worry about all of the travel and all of the other things that sometimes come up when you need to go on a business trip. You'll just be able to really plug in and listen to and get the information from people who are creating amazing things in their business and crushing it. So, and I think this will make it easier for all of us to participate. So please mark your calendar and don't miss the email when it comes out tomorrow to register, because even though it is a digital platform, they can sell it out. And so we want to make sure you have your space in there. So please make sure you go to Mega Camp. It's going to be great. All right. Anything else, Rosemary, that we want to say or remind anyone about before we sign off?
Today. Good meeting.
Yeah,
today.
Dennis was great. Don't you agree?
Always.
Good. Well, if you have any thoughts or ideas for team meetings and for training, please reach out to us and let us know. We're always working to provide you with value and information that is timely and relevant to your business. And if any of you are interested in teaching, we would love for you to be able to share your knowledge with the rest of us. And that's what I love about our company, is we can learn from each other. Thanks for being here. We have the next team meeting on the 28th with Dave Jenks, which is going to be great. And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Have a good day.